"Master, what is Tantra?" a young disciple asked, his eyes wide with curiosity as he sat cross-legged on the floor of the dimly lit ashram. The flickering light of the oil lamps cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an atmosphere that felt both intimate and mysterious. The master, an elderly man with a serene countenance and a long white beard, paused for a moment. He looked around at the faces of his eager disciples, each one a mirror of anticipation and wonder. He could see their desire to understand, to grasp the deeper meanings of the teachings they had only begun to explore. Tantra, the master began, his voice soft yet filled with a profound depth. Tantra is not easily defined. For it is not just a set of beliefs or a collection of rituals. It is a path, a way of life that embraces all of existence as sacred. It is a journey of transformation, one that integrates body, mind, and spirit. He looked at his disciples, sensing their thirst for knowledge. "But before we delve deeper, let me tell you a story," he continued. "Many centuries ago, when Tantra was still in its infancy, a young seeker much like yourselves approached his guru with the same question, 'What is Tantra?' The master leaned forward, his eyes twinkling with the memory of the ancient tale. The guru, a wise and compassionate soul, took his disciple to the riverbank at dawn. As the first light of the sun touched the water, the guru pointed to the river and said, 'Look closely, my child. Tantra is like this river. It flows endlessly, touching everything in its path, giving life, and nourishing all it encounters. It does not discriminate between what is sacred and what is profane. To the river, all is sacred.'" The disciples leaned in closer, hanging on every word. And so, the master continued, the disciple watched the river, feeling its cool mist on his face, hearing its soothing sound, and something within him began to shift. He realized that Tantra was not about renouncing the world but about embracing it fully, seeing the divine in every stone, every tree, every breath. The master smiled gently at his disciples, sensing their growing understanding. "Today, I will take you on a similar journey. Together, we will explore the depths of Tantra, from its historical roots to its profound practices and philosophies. You will learn that Tantra is not just about rituals or meditation but about a profound realization that everything in existence is interconnected and divine." With this, the master closed his eyes for a moment, allowing his words to settle in the hearts of his students. "Are you ready to embark on this journey?" he asked, opening his eyes to see the nods and smiles of his eager disciples. And so, the lesson began, as the master led them into the ancient, mystical world of Tantra. A world where every moment is an opportunity for spiritual awakening, and every experience is a gateway to the divine. Tantra is an incredibly rich and multifaceted spiritual tradition that has evolved over thousands of years. Imagine a tapestry woven with a vast array of beliefs, practices, rituals, and philosophies. It's not just a single doctrine but a profound collection of teachings and systems designed to transform one's spiritual, mental, and physical experience of reality. To truly dive into the depths of Tantra, it's crucial to explore its historical development, philosophical foundations, diverse practices, cultural significance, and the subtle interpretations across different traditions. Can you believe Tantra's roots stretched back to ancient India, around the 5th to 7th century CE, possibly even earlier? This was a time when orthodox Vedic traditions held sway over spiritual life. But then came Tantra, almost like a rebellious teenager challenging the norms. It offered a more inclusive and experiential path to spiritual realization, one that didn't shun the body, the senses, or the material world but embraced them all. Fascinating, right? Imagine the early Tantric practitioners in ancient India, breaking away from the rigid Vedic norms and daring to explore new ways of connecting with the divine. These were revolutionary thinkers who believed that spiritual growth wasn't just about renouncing the world or retreating into asceticism. They saw the divine everywhere, in every breath, in every action, in every sensation. They were pioneers, exploring the uncharted territories of the spirit, carving out a path that was as bold and radical as it was profound. As Tantra developed over the centuries, it continued to evolve and adapt, absorbing elements from various indigenous and pre-Vedic traditions. It became a melting pot of spiritual practices and philosophies, drawing from diverse sources to create a uniquely holistic approach to spirituality. It was not just about breaking away from tradition, it was about creating a new way of seeing the world, a way that embraced the fullness of life, in all its complexity and beauty. Hindu Tantra. Did you know there are various schools of Hindu Tantra, each with its own unique practices and perspectives? There's the Shaiva, focusing on Shiva. The Shakta, centered around the goddess or Shakti, and even the Vaishnava, although it's less common. These schools delve into sacred texts filled with rituals, mantras, and philosophical teachings. Have you ever wondered about the power of sound and sacred symbols like yantras? In Tantra, they're not just symbols but gateways to divine energies. Picture a tantric practitioner sitting in deep meditation, chanting a mantra with unwavering focus. The vibrations of the sound resonate through their being, awakening latent spiritual energies and connecting them to the divine. Imagine the intricate yantras, geometric patterns meticulously crafted with sacred intent, serving as windows to higher realms of consciousness. Each ritual, each chant, each gesture is a step on a journey of spiritual transformation, a journey that seeks to harmonize the inner and outer worlds and align the practitioner with the cosmic order. Buddhist Tantra, Vajrayana. Over in the world of Buddhism, Tantra takes on a whole new flavor. Vajrayana Buddhism, or the Diamond Vehicle, blends tantric methods with Mahayana philosophy. It's all about transformation, visualizing oneself as a deity and turning ordinary experiences into a path of enlightenment. How amazing is that? It's like seeing the divine in every moment. In Vajrayana Buddhism, practitioners engage in deity yoga, a profound practice where they visualize themselves as a deity, embodying the divine qualities of compassion, wisdom, and power. Imagine the intensity of such a practice, where every thought, every action, every breath becomes a sacred offering to the divine within. Through these practices, ordinary experiences are transmuted into extraordinary spiritual insights, revealing the inherent purity and perfection of all phenomena. Isn't it incredible how Tantra turns everyday life into a sacred dance of awakening? Jain and other traditions. Did you know that even Jainism, which is often seen as a path of strict non-violence, has tantric elements? Yes, Jain Tantra exists too, focusing on purity and non-violence while using mantras and meditative symbols. And guess what? Tantra has even influenced Taoism with its unique blend of sexual and alchemical techniques. It's like Tantra has touched every corner of spiritual practice. Jain Tantra, though less known, emphasizes the use of sacred symbols and mantras to achieve spiritual purity and align oneself with the cosmos. Imagine a Jain practitioner meditating on a sacred symbol, chanting mantras to purify their mind and body, seeking to transcend the limitations of the material world and attain spiritual liberation. Meanwhile, in Taoism, tantric practices have been integrated into alchemical and sexual techniques designed to preserve life, enhance vitality, and harness spiritual power. It's fascinating how Tantra has woven its way into so many different traditions, each adapting its teachings and practices to their unique spiritual goals. What sets Tantra apart from other spiritual traditions? Let's explore some of its fascinating philosophical concepts. Shakti and Shiva. In Hindu Tantra, have you ever thought about the dance between Shiva and Shakti? Shiva represents pure consciousness, and Shakti is the creative energy. Together, they're the cosmic couple whose union creates everything. Isn't that a beautiful metaphor for the balance and harmony we seek in life? The relationship between Shiva and Shakti is central to Tantric philosophy. It represents the dynamic interplay of consciousness and energy. The static and the dynamic, the masculine and the feminine. Imagine this cosmic dance, where Shiva remains still and unchanging, the silent witness to the dance of Shakti, who moves with grace and power, creating, sustaining, and dissolving the universe in her eternal dance. This union is not just a metaphor but a profound spiritual reality that Tantric practitioners seek to realize within themselves, harmonizing the polarities of their own being to achieve a state of unity and wholeness. The microcosm and macrocosm. Tantra teaches us that the human body is like a miniature version of the universe. Think about that for a second. Your body is a sacred vessel that mirrors the cosmos. How empowering is that? In Tantra, the body is not seen as an obstacle to spiritual growth but as a powerful tool for transformation. Imagine the human body as a microcosm of the universe, containing within it all the elements, energies, and forces that exist in the macrocosm. Through various tantric practices, such as asanas, postures, pranayama, breath control, and visualization techniques, practitioners learn to manipulate these energies, aligning themselves with the cosmic order and achieving spiritual enlightenment. It's a profound reminder of the interconnectedness of all things and the divine potential that exists within each of us, purity and pollution, unlike many traditions that see the body or material world as impure. Tantra views all of existence as inherently divine. It's about breaking free from the conventional ideas of purity and impurity. Have you ever considered that everything around you could be seen as sacred? In Tantra, the concepts of purity and impurity are transcended, allowing practitioners to engage fully with the world without attachment or aversion. Imagine participating in a tantric ritual that involves activities traditionally considered taboo, such as ritualized sexuality or the consumption of meat or alcohol. These practices are not about indulgence but about breaking down conventional dualities and transcending the limitations of social norms. It's a radical approach to spirituality that challenges us to see the divine in all aspects of life. Even those we might typically avoid or reject. The path of the Siddha, the journey of a Siddha in Tantra is not about blind belief but about experiential knowledge and personal transformation. These enlightened beings achieve profound states of consciousness through rigorous practice. It's a reminder that the path to enlightenment is both challenging and incredibly rewarding. Imagine the life of a Siddha, a tantric practitioner who has attained spiritual powers and enlightenment through dedicated practice. These individuals are often depicted in tantric texts as wise sages who possess miraculous powers and profound spiritual insights. Their stories serve as inspiration for other practitioners, demonstrating the incredible potential of the tantric path to transform consciousness and reveal the divine nature of reality. It's a journey that requires dedication, discipline, and a willingness to explore the depths of one's own being. Tantra's practices are as varied as its philosophical teachings. Here are some of the key approaches. Ritual practices. Rituals in Tantra aren't just ceremonies, they're powerful, transformative practices. From the repetition of mantras to the creation of intricate mandalas, these rituals are designed to invoke the divine and channel spiritual energies. Doesn't that make you want to explore the mystical side of spirituality? Imagine participating in a tantric ritual, surrounded by the scent of incense and the sound of chanting. The air is thick with spiritual energy as the practitioner performs a series of precise gestures, chanting mantras and offering symbolic items to the deity. Each movement, each sound, is imbued with spiritual intent, creating a sacred space where the divine presence is invoked and felt. These rituals are not just about following a set of rules, they are about creating a deep connection with the divine, a connection that transforms the practitioner on every level of their being. Meditative practices. Meditation in Tantra is a gateway to transforming consciousness. Whether it's deity yoga in Vajrayana Buddhism or awakening Kundalini energy in Hindu Tantra, these practices aim to elevate your spiritual state. Have you ever felt the power of a deep, transformative meditation? In Tantric meditation practices, the goal is not just to calm the mind but to transform it. To awaken the practitioner to their true divine nature. Imagine visualizing yourself as a deity, embodying their qualities and attributes, or feeling the serpent power of Kundalini rising up your spine, awakening each of the chakras and opening you to higher states of consciousness. These meditative practices are about experiencing the divine directly, within oneself, and realizing that enlightenment is not something to be achieved but something to be revealed, a truth that is always present, just waiting to be uncovered. Physical and sexual practices. Let's address the elephant in the room. Tantra's sexual practices. While they are often sensationalized, these practices are about much more than physical pleasure. They aim to transform sexual energy into spiritual energy, mirroring the cosmic union of Shiva and Shakti. It's about transcending duality and experiencing a deeper, more profound connection with the divine. Imagine approaching sexuality not as a mere physical act but as a sacred ritual, a powerful tool for spiritual transformation. In tantric sexual practices, the goal is not pleasure for its own sake but the awakening of spiritual energies and the realization of the non-dual nature of reality. Through these practices, practitioners learn to harness the powerful energies of desire and transform them into a force for spiritual growth and awakening. It's a radical approach to spirituality that challenges conventional views of sexuality and offers a path to profound spiritual realization. Tantra isn't just a spiritual practice, it's a cultural phenomenon. It has influenced art, music, dance, and even the religious practices of temple rituals and festivals. Have you ever seen a vibrant mandala or a fierce image of the goddess Kali? That's Tantra's influence right there. And in Tibet, Tantric Buddhism isn't just a religion, it shapes social and political life too. Picture a temple in India, its walls adorned with intricate carvings and paintings depicting tantric deities and symbols. The air is filled with the sounds of chanting and the smell of incense, as priests perform elaborate rituals, invoking the presence of the divine. Or imagine a Tibetan monastery, where monks practice tantric rituals and meditations. Their lives intertwined with the teachings of Tantra. In both cases, Tantra is not just a set of practices but a way of life, a tradition that shapes every aspect of existence, from the spiritual to the social, the artistic to the political. It's a testament to the profound impact that Tantra has had on the cultures and societies in which it has taken root. In today's world, Tantra is often misunderstood. Many people think it's all about spiritual sex, but this view misses the mark. Tantra is a comprehensive spiritual system with rigorous practices and ethical guidelines. Sure, it includes aspects of sexuality, but that's just one small piece of a much larger puzzle. Don't you think it's time we moved beyond the stereotypes and appreciated the depth of this tradition? The modern misunderstanding of Tantra often reduces it to a form of spiritual sex, focusing on its perceived hedonistic aspects while ignoring its broader spiritual and philosophical context. This reductive view fails to recognize the complexity and depth of the tradition, which encompasses rigorous spiritual discipline, ethical guidelines, and a sophisticated metaphysical framework. Imagine the frustration of a dedicated tantric practitioner who sees their tradition misrepresented in this way. It's time to reclaim the true essence of Tantra, to see it not just as a collection of practices but as a profound spiritual path that offers a unique and holistic approach to enlightenment. Like any profound spiritual tradition, Tantra has faced its share of challenges. From the secrecy of its teachings leading to misunderstandings to the appropriation of its symbols in the New Age movement, Tantra's journey has been anything but straightforward. But isn't that the case with all powerful traditions? They challenge, provoke, and ultimately inspire us to see beyond the surface. Throughout its history, Tantra has been both revered and reviled, celebrated for its profound insights and condemned for its unconventional practices. Imagine the early tantric practitioners, often misunderstood and persecuted by more orthodox religious authorities, yet steadfast in their commitment to their path. Or consider the modern challenges of cultural appropriation, where tantric symbols and practices are often taken out of context and used in ways that dilute their meaning and significance. Despite these challenges, Tantra continues to thrive, adapting and evolving, challenging us to look deeper and see beyond the surface. Tantra is not just about rituals or meditation, it's about embracing the wholeness of existence, seeing every aspect of life as sacred, and striving for spiritual realization. It's a journey that requires dedication, discipline, and an open heart. So, are you ready to explore Tantra with a fresh perspective, one that honors its depth and complexity? To truly understand Tantra, one must go beyond the sensationalized or reductive interpretations and engage deeply with its philosophical teachings, practices, and cultural context. It is a tradition that requires a willingness to embrace the mystery and complexity of existence, to see the divine in all things, and to recognize that enlightenment is not a destination but a journey that is as rich and varied as life itself. So, what are you waiting for? Dive into the depths of Tantra and discover the profound spiritual wisdom that lies within. As the master concluded his teachings on Tantra, the disciples sat in quiet reflection, absorbing the profound insights they had received. The sun had begun to set, casting a warm, golden glow over the ashram, its rays filtering through the leaves of the ancient banyan tree under which they gathered. The air was filled with the sounds of nature, the gentle rustling of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the soft whisper of the evening breeze. After a long silence, one of the disciples, who had been deep in thought, finally spoke up. "Master," she said softly, her voice tinged with awe and wonder, "you have taught us so much about Tantra today, its history, its practices, its philosophies. But how do we truly live this path? How do we embody Tantra in our everyday lives?" The master smiled warmly, his eyes twinkling with understanding. "Ah, that is the ultimate question, isn't it?" he replied. "To live the path of Tantra is to embrace life in all its fullness. It is to see every moment as an opportunity for awakening, every experience as a chance to touch the divine. Tantra is not something you do, it is something you become." He looked around at his disciples, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. "Remember the story of the river I shared with you this morning?" he asked. "The river flows without judgment, without attachment. It embraces everything in its path, the clear water, the mud, the rocks, the fish. To live like the river is to accept all of life with open arms, to see the divine in every aspect of existence, whether it is joy or sorrow, pleasure or pain, success or failure." The disciples nodded, the memory of the story still fresh in their minds. They could feel the truth of the master's words resonating deeply within them. "Tantra teaches us that there is no separation between the sacred and the mundane," the master continued. "The divine is present in every breath you take, in every step you walk, in every word you speak. To embody Tantra is to live with this awareness, to infuse every action with love, compassion, and mindfulness." He paused, letting his words sink in. The disciples felt a profound sense of peace wash over them, as if they were beginning to truly understand the essence of Tantra for the first time. "But remember," the master added, his voice gentle but firm, "the path of Tantra is not always easy. It requires dedication, discipline, and a willingness to confront your deepest fears and desires. It is a path of transformation, not just of the mind, but of the heart and soul. Are you ready for this journey?" The disciples looked at one another, a sense of determination and commitment in their eyes. They knew that the path ahead would be challenging, but they were ready to embrace it fully, to live with the awareness and presence that the master had taught them. "Good," the master said, nodding approvingly. "Then let us end our day with a simple practice. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and feel the divine presence within you. Remember that this presence is always with you, guiding you, supporting you, loving you. It is the essence of who you are, and it is always enough." The disciples closed their eyes, following the master's guidance. They felt a deep sense of connection and unity, not just with themselves, but with each other, with their master, and with the world around them. In that moment, they understood that Tantra was not just a path, but a way of being, a way of living in harmony with the divine flow of life. As they opened their eyes, they saw the master smiling, his face radiant with the light of wisdom and compassion. "Remember," he said softly, "the journey of Tantra is a journey of the heart. It is a path that leads you back to yourself, to the divine essence that is your true nature. Trust in this path, and it will guide you home." With these final words, the master stood up, and the disciples followed, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and commitment to their spiritual journey. The sun had set, and the first stars were beginning to appear in the night sky. Together, they walked back to the ashram, their hearts filled with gratitude and their spirits uplifted by the teachings of Tantra. And so, under the canopy of the night sky, The disciples embarked on the next chapter of their spiritual journey, knowing that the path of Tantra would be both their greatest challenge and their greatest blessing, guiding them toward the ultimate realization of the divine within.